Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very pleased to be able to spend this time with you and to talk about something what I'm very passionate about, and this is how to use mindfulness in a corporate world. In a few seconds, I will switch off the video just to be on a safe side with the Zoom connection and Zoom capacity, but the presentation would stay, of course, and we would be connected via chat. So please just type yes if you can hear me well, if the presentation is okay. So just let me know if you can see me at the moment. So typing yes. So let's check our chat, because that would be the only one way we can communicate. Okay, thank you. I see one yes, maybe some more yeses. Okay, good. Thank you guys, great. Super. Okay, so I'm Snezhana-Sophia Zamalieva, and I'm founder and CEO at Center for Mindfulness in St. Petersburg, Russia. So welcome to St. Petersburg, and also regional manager at Potential Project International. So since my introduction is over, I'm switching off the webcam camera and will be staying with you via presentation. So, okay, just a few words about Potential Project. Potential Project is a global leadership training and also research company. And PPI helps organizations, helps leaders to basically enhance performance, innovation, and resilience through mindfulness training. And what is really exciting that recently HR Tech Outlook magazine named PPI as one of top 10 leadership development services. So again, I'm truly honored to conduct this webinar, especially during this challenging time we all are facing right now. Things are changing and looks like they'll continue to change for many of us, and hopefully what I will be sharing with you guys today would be useful for managing this change better, be more focused in the midst of difficult time, be more balanced both at work and in life in general. So before I start, let me ask you one question, and I'm really curious, how many of you are familiar with mindfulness? Just again, type yes if you are familiar. And also maybe how many of you tried mindfulness practice before? So you are very welcome to share that information. That would be really great and curious to know. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anastasia. Okay, familiar, yes, fantastic. No, yes, no. Great. So mindfulness don't know, but I'm curious to learn what is that. That's why I'm here. A great attitude. So what I will be sharing with you guys within, just one sec, I'm reading your comments. Try several weeks of mindfulness meditation. Okay, thank you. So what I will be sharing with you within next hour is, first of all, the case for mindfulness, why mindfulness is important. Actually, why mindfulness is so important for guys like you who are very rational, I assume very logical thinking, very smart. So for that, I will bombard you with science. Then I shall put you into practice to show you how you can do it. So basically, by the end of our webinar, you would know how to practice mindfulness, and this practice would be with you forever. And then we will turn this into action, how we can use mindfulness as a practical tool to be more resilient, which is actually so important right now, more balanced and more focused. So that's the plan. I hope you will enjoy it. And if you have any questions during the presentation, so just feel free and text it in our chat. I will be definitely seeing that questions, and either I would park the question until the end of the webinar, or we'll make a pause and answer straight away. So please feel free to ask any question you have, and each question is important for us, okay? So I'm going to suggest that mindfulness, in terms what we want to discuss today, is a set of tools and techniques that we can use to enhance our performance, our effectiveness, clarity, and well-being. And the practice of mindfulness is the practice of cultivating a calm, clear, and focused mind. And that's what is really important. And actually, you may agree with me that there is no greater wealth in the world than peace of mind. There is no greater wealth in the world than the peace of mind. That's why mindfulness comes into the picture. So we will be learning how to cultivate three qualities, and those are relaxation. And relaxation is important because relaxation helps us to overcome tension, and we have so much tension nowadays, the tension in our body, for example, that makes us both agitated and exhausted. Then the second quality, this is focus. And focus is important. It helps us to overcome distractions. And we will be talking about the distraction a lot today. And the third one is clarity. Clarity helps us to overcome dullness. So in 2000, I think it was 2016, and here is the next slide. Why do they use mindfulness? And you see lots of different logos of different companies. So in 2016, 22% of Forbes top 500 companies launched mindfulness programs. And Apple, Sony, Nokia, Accenture, Aetna, IKEA, you name it. So why they did it? And the answer is simple. Due to reality we are living and working. And this is so-called paid reality. It's an acronym. So the thing about this paid reality is that basically we are under pressure. We are always on. We are information overloaded. And also we are working in environments that are heavily distracted. So pressured, always on, 24 hours, 7 days per week, information overload, and heavily distracted. As you are watching this, would you say that applies to your own experience of your work life? So just again, give me the sign. At least maybe 2 qualities. Would they apply to your working experience? Maybe 3 qualities, maybe 4. So the thing about the paid reality is that it has a severe attack on our attention. Basically, our ability to stay attentive, focused, present, moment to moment is basically under attack nowadays. And researchers from Harvard University has found that our ability to pay attention has dropped radically over the past 20 years. And they even put a number to this. So now take a guess and please type it in our chat. What percent of our waking hours do you think that we are basically distracted from what we are doing? So how much do you think our mind is wandering during the day? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80%. What is your guess? So just give me a guess, give me a number, please. Well, okay, the first number is 60, 70, 90, 80. Thank you guys for the numbers. It's not as bad as we think. 90, 99, maybe at certain point, yes, even 150, 90, 60. So the real answer is 47%. And actually, let me emphasize that the research was done 10 years ago. So maybe if Matthew Killingsworth, the guy who did that research while working on his PhD, would conduct that research today, maybe he would come to the average number like 70 or 80, but 10 years ago, the figure was 47. And we may think, oh, that's not as bad as we thought, because we actually thought like 80, 90 or something like that. But 47 is a huge number. It basically means that, just think about that. It basically means that almost half of our time, we are not paying attention to what we are doing. And we know actually by heart that when we are actually paying attention, we are more focused, we are more in sense of control, we are more creative, and we are more collaborative when we do pay attention to the present moment, to the present task, to the present object. So all good things come from when we are paying attention, and a lot of bad stuff happens when the mind is wandering. I like that idea, and we, in general, we could elaborate on it, that we have entered an attention economy. So our ability to pay attention, single-pointed, with focus, moment by moment, is equally important to having time and equally important to having skills. Just imagine the situation. We have, let's say we have all the time and all the skills in the world. That would be fantastic, right? But if we can't pay attention, we can't do anything well. So if we compare the working space 20 years ago and we look at the typewriter, so apparently there were not so many distractions as we are facing right now. And here we have so many different notifications, so many different distractions, deadlines, etc., etc., etc. So again, our attention is under attack. And if we look at our data, and by our, I mean at the data what was done by Scientific Department of Potential Project International, 73% of leaders feel unmindful most of the time. 96% leaders would like to be more mindful. And another figure, 67% of leaders describe their minds as cluttered. And as a result, 65 often fail to complete their tasks. And when we talked about distractions in just a few slides back and about the paid reality, and one of the we talked about distractions, and so the biggest source of distractions, the biggest sources of distractions are, first of all, demands of other people, 26%. That's the way we are being distracted at work. Another, which is equal, competing priorities. This is 25%. Then general distractions, 13%. And too big of a workload, 12%. So definitely attention matters. And ultimately, work is about delivering results. Well, of course, the process is important. It could be amazing. It could be great. But the work is about delivering results. So without results, there is no point. But where do good results are coming from? So if you think about that, and the answer is obvious, right? The good results from right actions. Well, have you ever heard about any fantastic results without doing any actions? Most probably not, right? So then where do good actions come from? And the good actions, of course, they come from making the right choices about what we do. And the last question in that chain is, how do we make the right choices? And here attention comes. So basically, let me go back to the slide. So simply by being attentive to the right things at the right time in the right way, that's how we make the right choices. The right choices bring to the right actions, and the right actions brings us to the right results. So now the big question is, how attentive are you? So maybe I'm with the wrong audience. Maybe everyone is super attentive and I'm here talking about 47% of wandering mind. So I'll allow you to figure out for yourself. So we will have a little test. It's going to take just 45 seconds. Just 45 seconds. I'll explain to you the logistic of the test, the procedure of the test, and then we would start. So I'll ask you to close your eyes, and with your eyes closed, choose one thought that you want to think about, just one thought. Now think about it and choose only one thought you want to think about. So if any other thoughts will come into your mind, don't think about them. If you get distracted by any sounds, ignore it, don't listen to them. And during that 45 seconds, you would have to pay attention and concentrate your attention, bring your focus to only one thought. Okay? So are you ready? Let me just put my timer on. So it's 45 seconds, one thought, and we are starting now. All right, that was 45 seconds. And now you can open your eyes again. And if you would like to share your experience, just text it in our chat. And there is a good chance that you got distracted, right? If you are like most people, probably you were distracted a number of times within these 45 seconds. So there is a good chance you got distracted by any kind of sounds. There is a good chance that you got distracted by the inner critic, right? That was judging whether you did well or not. This inner voice, which is always with us, our great companion. So there is a good chance you were distracted by the inner reflection. Like, I wonder how long time this is going to take. Is that 45 seconds? Is it 10 seconds? How much time left, etc., etc. And there is a good chance that you were just generally wondering about something in the past, about the future, thinking about things that actually were not relevant to the thought that you actually tried to focus on. And this is perfectly fine. That's how our mind is wandering. And that's the autopilot we are often on. So, and if you have experienced that, so this is called an attention deficit trait, the inability moment to moment to monitor our thoughts and manage where to place our attention. Again, to focus on the thought and manage where we want to place the attention. So, because of the patriarchy, we are suffering from attention deficit trait, and our mind is wandering all over the place. It's a little bit like this cartoon here. Say, this is Alex. Monday morning, Alex is at work and he's trying to focus on really, really important work, maybe, I don't know, on a report or on an email. So he's doing something important, he needs a concentration, but his mind is somewhere else. He is thinking about golf, right? So later on, finally, Alex gets to the golf course, but his mind is somewhere else again. He is thinking about the dinner with his wife or with his girlfriend. So let's make it he's thinking about the dinner with his wife. So finally, he's at the dinner with his wife. And again, his mind is wandering. He's thinking back about work. That is actually the nature of our mind today and the nature of the mind in the paid reality with attention deficit trait. It's very interesting. Just think about that. We are more occupied with what has happened, right? Then we are more occupied what will happen. And actually we forget to live in the moment, to be really, really present right here and right now. And this is very ironic because the past is gone, the future hasn't arrived yet, and the only thing we have is now. If we miss out on that, we miss out on our well-being, and we miss out on our performance, and we miss out on having good relationship with the ones we care. But the good news is that we may be living in the paid reality and we may be suffering from attention deficit trait, but we can do something about that. Something actually can be done. But before we look at that, let's just have a quick introduction at the nature of the mind. So how often do you consider your own well-being and health of your body? I mean, like, how often do you take, say, the stairs instead of the elevator? Or if you talk about the food, how often do you take, for example, an apple rather than a chocolate bar? Or how often do you maybe go to the gym and you do the workout, or you just switch on your favorite channel on YouTube and do the workout at home? Well, you do that, right? Some of them have that as a routine. Some of us have it as a routine. Some of us have it that from time to time. But we kind of, we are thinking about that well-being is important, exercise is needed. But now the question comes to, how often do we think about training our mind? If we think about that. How often do we think about training our brain to be more effective? And this is amazing. I think it's incredible. We can train the brain. And training the brain is so very possible due to what researchers call neuroplasticity. So this is neuroplasticity. This is something that it's like we are inside of our brain. And there is a great rule. Neuron would fire together, wire together. So neuroplasticity is the fact that our brain is constantly changing. Just imagine, for everything we do, everything we say, everything we think, or everything we experience, we are basically creating new physical connections. And you see that, lots of different connections here within our brain. Neural network, neuroplasticity is the ability of our brain to change. So, and mindfulness in short is the ability to manage our mind moment to moment, to be fully focused on the task at hand rather than getting caught up in the distractions. So, and training mindfulness is like when we do something new, a new experience for the brain, we change the brain by creating a new neural networks. So just think about in a few moments, we will experience the mindfulness practice, awareness of the breath, and we would be observing our breath cycle, breathing in and breathing out. And by just doing that, we will be building up a new neural networks in our brain. We would be changing our brain. And later on, I will show you how this will work in our brain. So training in mindfulness has basically no difference than going to the gym. In the gym, say we lift weights and expand our muscle fiber and get stronger. In mindfulness training, we are training the neural networks of our brain to be more focused, to be more attentive, and to be more present. So I'll now will give you the basic instructions for a mindfulness practice. So we have 4 steps, and they're so easy: A, B, C, D. I used to have a joke, but I think it's still appropriate. So next time when we would be traveling, and just remember, like when you're at the airport and you're searching for the gates, and you will see gate A, gate B, gate C, gate Z. So at that particular time, I'm sure you would remember that A, B, C, D for the practice as well. So basic mindfulness training. A for anatomy, B for breathing, C for counting, and D for distractions. So I'll explain them one by one. So, A, anatomy. What is important? It's important the way that we practice, while we are practicing mindfulness, anatomy, the body posture is very important. So what is important here? We have relaxed neck, we have relaxed shoulders, we have relaxed arms, we have straight and relaxed back, we have grounded balance, we have eyes shut or slightly open. Basically, you choose what would be more convenient for you, either slightly open or lightly closed. You can breathe through your nose if you can. If you have some difficulties, then you can use your mouth for breathing. And keeping body as still as possible during the practice, avoiding any unnecessary movements. So B stands for the breath. And the breath is the anchor that we are using for our attention on the practice of mindfulness. So let your breath to be your focus, your anchor. You can now choose where to focus, either on your nose, nostrils, or belly. Just try to now breathe in and breathe out. And do it several times and just test which area is more comfortable for you for the focus. The focus of the breath. Is it your nose or the belly? And remember it. Where do you feel more of your breathing? And the next important point when we talk about breath, observe your breath neutrally. You don't have to change it. You don't have to adjust it. Our body is breathing without our control. So thanks God we don't have to control the way we breathe. So the body does it itself. So the next one is C. So the C stands for counting. And what is counting? Counting is an aid that helps us to actually stay focused on the breath. Because in the beginning, you would experience that it's pretty difficult to keep the focus. Remember our exercise, our test, 45 seconds, that was rather difficult to keep the attention, to keep the focus on the thought. And here we are, we will experience the 10 minutes of mindfulness, of basic mindfulness training. So the count will help us to focus on the breath. And we count in a way that we are breathing in, we are breathing out, and at the end of the out breath, we count 1. Again, breathing in, breathing out, end of out breath, we count 2. And then in, out 3, in, out 4, and so on, and so on. And we go all the way up to 10. And when we reach 10, we count backwards, down to 1 again. So we are counting in cycles like that, right? We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until 10, and then from 10 until 1, right? If at some point you lose the count and you are finding that you are not counting anymore, no problem. Just, acknowledge that. It's great that you have noticed, and start with 1 again. And maybe you would find yourself at 37, That's also not a problem. Go back to one again. That's very normal. So the final, we have D, right? D stands for distractions. And you would notice that you are getting distracted. And I would like you to remember, and this is so important for any mindfulness exercise, for any mindfulness practice. Distractions are our friends. Yes, they are friends and they are helping friends in mindfulness practice. So, what is distraction? Distraction is everything that is not either the breath or the counting. Whenever you encounter, it could be everything, the noise, the sensation, the thought, the mental image, anything. What is not the breath and not the counting is distraction, okay? So, and whenever you encounter any distraction, just simply notice it, because that distraction is basically telling you are off track, right? And so then, with a bit of gratitude, acknowledge, say thank you, and return back to the breathing again. Don't be upset. Don't think that, oh, the practice is over, I couldn't keep the concentration. We all are being distracted, and that's important is that we are noticing the distraction, and then we are bringing our attention back to the breath again. So, now I'll guide you through a 10 minutes mindfulness practice. If you have any questions before we start the practice, please, you are very welcome to ask them. The circle may cause stuck overflow in my brain. Okay. So some more comments and questions, and then I'll just emphasize again the main steps. Okay, let's go into the practice. I'll invite you to sit comfortably on your chair. Now put both feet on the ground. Straighten your back in a relaxed way. Now relax your shoulders. Relax your neck and relax your arm. And allow your body in general just to relax and settle in and feel at ease. This is what is important for us, the body posture and the feeling, the sense of relaxation. And now I would like you to pay all the attention to the sound, which is symbolizing the start of the practice, awareness of the breath. So close your eyes and now breathe through the nose. And just notice for a moment what your body feels like right now. Just noticing the body and bringing all your awareness to the body. Simply become aware about sensations throughout your body. And then use your out breath to relax and release any tightness, any tension. Breathing in, bringing attention to the body, and breathing out, relaxing and releasing any tightness, any tension. And allow yourself to relax more deeply with each out breath. Breathing in, attention goes to the body, breathing out, relaxing. And now bring your awareness to the area of your face. Soften and relax all the muscles in your face. And that's the area we keep a lot of tension. Again, use your out breath for relaxation. Soften and relax. And now bring your attention to the mouth and jaw and soften and relax. And all the muscles around your eyes. Soft and relax. Again and again using out breath as an anchor for relaxation. So relaxation is the basic of any sustainable focus. So, and in this way, allow the entire body to become completely relaxed, completely at ease. And now we are ready to focus on the breath. And let's take 3 slow, deep breaths, maintaining awareness of the sensations in the body as you breathe. Breathing in and breathing out. And allow the breathing to settle into the natural rhythm, not trying to control or regulate the breath in any way. Simply allow it to flow naturally and effortlessly. And at certain time, your mind may wander, the distractions may appear. And remember, so distractions are our friends and they help us for the training. So relax, release the distraction, and bring your attention to the breath again. And let's continue that together again. All the attention goes to breathing in, breathing out. And if the distraction appears, acknowledge the distraction, relax, release the distraction, and gently bring your attention to the breath again. And now bring counting, bring the numbers. Breathing in, all the focus goes, all the attention goes to the breathing in, then breathing out, and at the very end of out breath, put in number 1. And we will be in silence, counting to 10 and then backwards to 1. So you are simply sitting and observing the breathing, counting and out breath over and over again. And every time you get distracted, relax the body, release the distraction, and return your attention back to the breathing again. And again, if you find you get distracted from your breath, no need to be upset. In fact, be happy that you have noticed. This is well done. And again, relax the body, release the distraction, and return your attention gently with curiosity back to the breathing again. all the attention goes to the breathing. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Observing the rhythm of the breath. And now bring your attention back to the sound again, which is symbolizing the end of the practice. And now at your own pace, let go of the practice, open your eyes and return your attention back to the webinar. And maybe just reflect on the question, what is important for you right now? What is important for me right now? Maybe a sip of water, maybe a bit of stretching, maybe something else. Just try to listen to yourself. And I'm checking the questions, and Marina, thank you. Great question. How make yourself do it every day and not get bored? Great question. And I will talk about that in a moment, about the motivation and about the routine and so on and so on. And you guys, if you have some more questions, please just post it here in our chat. I will definitely see them and will answer. So now I would like you to take a moment and reflect and maybe share it in our chat. What went well? Well, in general, how did it go? And let's start with a positive experience. What went well? And then the second question to reflect on. What did you find challenging? So, again, what went well, what was positive, what was pleasant, and secondly, what was challenging? What did you find did not go so well? So, if you are like most people, you would have experienced in these minutes at least one of the three most common challenges. And the first one being, guess what? Falling asleep or at least getting really drowsy. Well, now that is very, very common for most people when they close their eyes. And the opposite of what is having a clarity of mind, right? Drowsiness versus clarity of mind. And you can gain a bit more clarity of mind and less drowsiness by opening your eyes a little bit, so letting some light in. So if you are during the practice, feel like, oh, I want to sleep, This is not the goal. We are not doing that to completely relax, to feel asleep, right? We are training the brain, and the motivation is different. So just open your eyes and let the light come in. Another strategy, you can straighten your back a little bit and take a deep breath. That actually helps you to develop more clarity, and thereby you can do a better practice. Thank you. I'm just, my distraction is another screen where I'm happy to read all your comments. Let me pay attention to your comments for a moment, and we go back to the second challenge, not to pay attention to kicking each other's asses in the backstage. Yeah, lots of challenges, lots of distraction, huh? Absolutely different distractions. So we are currently in the office, right? So, and it's an office building, and my main distraction was the Hoover in the background. So would have changed Hoover to the cats. So, okay, and the second, you may also have experienced the opposite, that you got a bit tense in the practice, so that the focus on your breath maybe made you a little bit tense and somehow stiffened your body. If that was the case, or if you mentally got tense, just allow yourself to relax into the practice. Allow the breathing to do this job of making you calming down. And using out breaths. Remember, using out breaths for relaxing the body. Using out breaths for relaxing the face. So, and the third main challenge of the practice, having a lot of thoughts. So, and when you have a lot of thoughts, so that's, we identified those thoughts as distractions. And a life hack would be just identify a thought and let it go. Because if you would go, into that thought, we would end up immediately in an inner theory, in an inner virtual movie theater, right? So for us, it's important, a thought. Let it go, this is distraction, and bring the attention back to the breath again. So try in the practice to develop clarity, relaxation, and a clear focus. So, and now a simple question. In this practice, did you manage to maintain focus on your breath for, let's say, at least 5 seconds at some point? I'm sure you did. So, and if so, it was a success. Because remember the previous slide, the neuroplasticity? So for every second that we are paying attention to something at will, we are basically firing new connections in our brain, which makes us more focused. So just imagine within those 5 seconds when your attention was sustainable, you just rewired your brain to be more focused, attentive, and present. And I think, great job. Congratulations. So, secondly, did you experience that you got distracted? Well, I'm sure you did, right? You experienced that. But then what did you do? You actually managed to come back again, right? If so, you passed again, success again. Because mindfulness practice is not just about staying focused, it's also about developing the awareness of when we are drifting off so that we can come back again. So our attention is drifting off, we realizing that, we are distracted. letting the distraction go and bringing the attention back to the object again. So if you manage that, you manage to both develop focus and awareness, which are two main key components of mindfulness. Two key components, awareness and focus. So congratulations on that. And now, this is a very interesting slide. Look at that, the neurology of mindfulness. So neurologically, what is happening in the brain as we are doing this practice of training, of enhancing focus and awareness? What is happening is that we are paying attention to the breath, focusing on that. So the prefrontal cortex of our brain, cortex is right behind our forehead. So this prefrontal cortex is being activated. And when it's activated, remember, neurons would fire together, wire together. So when the prefrontal cortex is activated, it grows, it gets stronger. So remember the previous slide with the neuroplasticity and these networks what neurons were building. And prefrontal cortex, this is executive, it's responsible for executive functioning. It's our CEO. So by just doing that exercise, we trained ourselves to be more focused, have better clarity, have better awareness. So, and then at some point we got distracted, right? The mind was wandering. And then you become aware that you are distracted. And you were not angry with yourself. We discussed that distractions are our best friends. So, and you redirect your attention and you come back to your focus again. And look at this circle. For every time you go through the loop, you are training both your focus and your awareness. That is what the practice is about. We are training focus and awareness, right? And what researchers have found is that through this practice, not only you gain more self-awareness, but you're also gaining basically a stronger focus. Your prefrontal cortex has proven to grow significantly after just 8 weeks of this practice. And that is great news because the prefrontal cortex, as I said before, is managing what is called executive function. So your ability moment to moment to monitor your thoughts and your words and your actions so that you can live a more deliberate life, do the right things. I would like to emphasize there is one general misconception about mindfulness practice, and it appears so often, and this is somehow, it's not helping people to develop their practice. It kind of, creates a great resistance. So this misconception is that we are trying to sit with a complete, empty, still, beautiful mind. So that is not the case. That doesn't happen. The practice of mindfulness called mindfulness practice is not mindfulness perfect. It's mindfulness practice. It is not about achieving that state because we will always have distractions. So let go of that idea if you have one of sitting with the blank mind. So if you have that, literally you will be disappointed again and again and again while practicing mindfulness because you would always have distractions. So also, talking about the different researches, different type of research and different years. Researchers have found that from a work perspective, of course, there are a lot of benefits of the mindfulness practice. Look at the screen and just think, which two of these benefits would you think would be the most useful for you? And there are a lot, right? Better task performance, decreasing multitasking, enhancing work-life balance, creativity, ethical decision-making, increased retention, fewer sick days, enhanced focus, job satisfaction. And then another benefits of mindfulness, it's related more to life in general, increased happiness, increased sleep quality, increased emotional intelligence. And this is so important. Talking about different mindfulness programs, you may know the Search Inside Yourself, the very interesting, like, fundamental program of Google company, Search Inside Yourself, developing emotional intelligence via mindfulness practice. So better heart rate variability, balanced blood pressure. Well, I guess for everyone is, especially for girls, is exciting, reduce cellular aging, and better immune functioning, and improved mental fitness. So seeing all these benefits coming from this practice, I hope you are motivated to actually take it up. And a lot of these studies are based on people doing just 10 minutes of practice every day, just 10 minutes. So what I would like to do now is to share a few basics with you on how to get that going for yourself, right? There was a question how to make that practice every day. What shall we do? How to make it as a part of one's life. So there are questions, and while you looking at that slide, let me check the questions here in our chat. So the first question is, when should you practice mindfulness? So generally, for most people, the morning is the best time. I myself, I love it, and I love my practice in the morning. So in the morning, you are more in control of your time, and if you do it in the morning, you are setting a direction for the full day to be more present and attentive. Well, if in the morning doesn't work for you because you have small kids or you're just not so awake, then do it in the evening or in the afternoon. You can even do it actually in the parking lot before you go into work, when you would drive to work, when you would have a possibility to drive to offices, right? So you can do it during the lunch break. Find the time that works for you. This is the main rule. Find the time that works for you. The most important is that you try to stick with the same time every day, so it becomes a habit, and you don't need to reinvent something new every day. So that's why choose morning, evening, or the afternoon, and try to make it as a routine in a way. So next question is, Where should you practice? Well, it's actually it's not so important. What is important is that you find a spot in your house, in your apartment, maybe in your office, that is least interrupted by other people. So it could be whatever, your bedroom, the living room, maybe your office or conference room or kitchen, bathroom, doesn't matter. So we have found very clearly through thousands and thousands of people that just 10 minutes a day will give you the great results. So how long should you do it? This is usually the third question. Is it for a week or for a month or for 5 days, for 30 days? So remember the comparison that it's a mental fitness. Mindfulness is a type of mental fitness, right? So, well, if you want to get in a good shape and stay in a good shape, you don't just go to the gym for 1 week, right? So, and the same is mindfulness practice. If you need to keep doing it, if you want to keep having the benefits coming from the practice. Well, important thing is that establishing a regular mindfulness practice, of course, requires some habit creation. So here are 4 tips which I think would be helpful. The science of creating a habit. So there are 4 steps, 4 tips. The first is intention. Ask yourself, what is your intention? What is your motivation? What is your intention for practicing mindfulness? Why are you doing this? You know, there is a saying, the one who knows why can bear with any how. So basically, if you know, why do I do that? Why do I go to the gym? Why do I want to eat healthy? Or why do I need this mindfulness practice? If I will find an answer deep inside of me, maybe thinking, well, that actually helps me to relax and have and make my mind clear, or it helps me to keep my focus or something else. So just think about what is the intention. So secondly, find specific cues that are going to remind you that now is the time to practice. For example, if you want to do it in the morning, make your alarm clock that helps you, that reminds you that it's time for mindfulness practice if you want to do that in the morning. Ask Siri or Alexa to remind you. So there are plenty of cues which will help you to remember to practice. The third point, make it a routine. So you don't need to think about it, just like brushing your teeth. You know that you brush your teeth in the morning and the evening, maybe after lunch. You don't think about that all the time, right? So, and this is a part of your routine. So try to make this mental workout as a part of your daily routine. And as I said, 10 minutes is enough. So lots of different research prove us that 10 minutes can provide significant change. So, and now the fourth one is reward. How will you reward yourself for practicing mindfulness, right? So ask yourself, after, let's say, the first 10 days, have you become more calm? Do you maybe sleep better? Are you more patient? Are you more focused? Well, are you something else what was important for you? And then reinforce the benefits on that so that you are aware of the rewards that you are getting from the practice. So the great thing about mindfulness practice is that it's not just a mindfulness practice, but it's also helps you to do all other things in life better. So basically, just think about when you become more mindful, you are basically working on the operating system of your brain and allowing that to basically spill over into other activities. So the more mindful you are, the more mindful you'll obviously be in how you engage in meetings, how you engage in conversations with different people. The more mindful you'll be about how you set priorities and stick to those, the more mindful you will be about how you deal with your, for example, emails, your to-do list. So basically what I'm trying to say that mindfulness is basically a domino habit that has an impact on all the other activities of your life. It's definitely worth the effort. And now I would like you to learn 2 rules of mental effectiveness. I would like you to remember the practice again. What did we do? Remember focus and awareness. In our practice, it's like a formal exercise. We learn to keep the focus on an object. And in the formal exercise, that was our breath, breathing in and breathing out, right? Then the distractions appeared, and we would notice the distractions and we would not dive in that distractions, right? Mental images, thoughts, whatsoever. We would just notice, distraction, let it go back to the object. So we train that our focus and awareness in a formal practice so that we can have higher mental effectiveness during our waking hours. And we have 2 rules of mental effectiveness. And the rule number 1 is very simple. Whatever you do, focus on what you choose, right? It sounds simple, but as you have probably experienced in our mindfulness practice so far, it's a little bit hard because the mind gets distracted all the time, right? So, but with the training, you get better at it. So, the rule number 1, focus on what you choose. It looks like this. Imagine you're sitting and applying this rule, number 1, Monday morning, right? And you are sitting and writing a really important message or email. So you're writing and writing and writing, and then suddenly, say you are in the office, right? And 2 colleagues start up a conversation just behind your back. Now, guess what is happening to your attention? Of course, probably it wanders away from the email and starts to engage in the conversation. The rule is simple, focus on what you choose, which is what? Which is the email. So focus on the email and ditch that distraction. So writing, then suddenly you are thinking about the birthday party you are going to attend this weekend. Of course, your mind wanders again, right? On what you should be wearing, what present you should be bringing, and so on and so on. But the rule is simple. Ditch the distraction, focus on what you choose. Again, keep writing the email, and then at some point, your boss comes in the door and she or he looks quite funny, let's say red in the face and shouting at you, get out here, we need you right now. Let's say our main client has a big issue, you are the only one that can solve it. So what do? Just stay focused on what you choose, stay with the email and ignore her. That's probably not a good strategy. That will probably get you into the trouble, right? So therefore we need a rule number 2. Rule number 2 is very simple. Choose your distractions mindfully. So the first rule, focus on what you choose, is really, really useful for probably 95% of our distractions every day. All the sounds and distraction out there, and all the distraction from our own mind, all this chatter. But then there are incidents like, let's say, your boss needs your attention, or your client is calling, which is a distraction that actually is more important than what you are doing. So therefore, the rule number 2, choosing distractions mindfully, and in that case, you just mentally shut down the first task, like emailing, and then pay full attention to the person in front of you. You finish that, and then you go fully back to the email, doing one thing at a time. So that is both mental effectiveness and resilience, and that is applying mindfulness in a daily life. So, and if we would have more time, we could have had an experiment that if we would concentrate on one task and then complete it, then concentrate on another task, important task, and complete it. And then if I would ask you to try to do those tasks simultaneously by just jumping with your attention from one task to another, you would discover very interesting, you would come to the very interesting conclusion. You would see that, jumping attention, less mental effectiveness, and you would have more stress, you would spend more time, and you probably would make more mistakes. So therefore, try to implement those rules. Try to restructure a little bit the way you cope with the to-do list by those simple rules. Focus on what you choose and choose your distractions mindfully. So now I'm taking a little bit more time than I have, but just few more things as we talked about the attention economy. And I love that quote from Thomas Davenport, Accenture Institute of Strategic Change. Understanding and managing attention is now the single most important determinant of business success. And I would broaden that. It's the single most important determinant of success in life in general. Even now, when we are facing this COVID-19 situation, how much anxiety we have because of not managing the distractions, because we are opening something and then sometime later we discover that we're reading again and again different news and we cannot concentrate on what we need. So understanding and managing attention, it's really, really important. And let me quickly bring you through mindful performance breaks. That's what you can start implementing in your daily life. So mindful performance breaks, this is something that helps to enhance your mental performance. And if I would ask you, what does a break mean for you? Maybe chatting with a colleague, reading news, or time on a Facebook, or playing a game on your phone, or having coffee again with the colleagues. Is that really a break? Is that type of break is really, I would rephrase the question, is that type of break is really helping you to relax, to rest, to be more efficient? Let's see. So, breaks and mental performance. If we want to stay in this quadrant, the quadrant 2, when we are focused and we are aware, right? So we need a regular breaks, because if we're working in a style non-stop working, eventually we would be less aware and more distracted, and our performance goes down. So now look at this slide, and this is also very important because we have two operating modes of our brain, and one is conceptual. It's words, rational thinking, problem solving, and another one is perceptual, wordless, experiencing things, right? So, and eventually, the second mode is very important for us to achieve during the day. And the great news is that we can do that by a very simple mindfulness practice, which all of you know by now. So let's go back to the slide, the mindful break. So giving the brain a break from concepts, right, to improve energy, focus, and effectiveness. How do we do that? It's very simple. Remember ABCD? I'm sure you do. So you do 3 breath cycles. Basically, it will take 40 to 45 seconds. But what you do, you sit comfortably, you relax the body, you can close your eyes or keep them just, slightly open. And then you do 3 times of breathing in, breathing out. Again, all attention goes breathing in, breathing out. Just observing the breathing in and breathing out. Observing the rhythm of the breath, observing the sensation without thinking. If you have a little bit more time, you can do 5 ABCT or 3 cycles or 5 cycles. And this is a great break. It takes less than a minute, but it helps you to feel better, to have a better focus, to manage distractions better, and to be focused and aware. So, and I would like to recommend you just go on Kindle and you can get, go to Amazon.com and you can get for your Kindle the book, the Potential Project book, 1 Second Ahead. And basically there you would find different tools and different mental strategies on mindfulness in corporate world. But the main thing we learned today, how to train your attention, how to train your focus, and how to train the awareness, and a lot of incredibly useful information you can find in that book. So to train and to continue your practice, you can download the app, Potential Project app. And there is a guided meditation, which is very helpful, and guided training. And you can also set up daily reminders if you like. If you don't use the app, you can just do that yourself. Put a timer, 10 minutes, find a quiet place, and you know what to do. Breathing in, breathing out. At the end of the out breath, you count. And for those you guys who are native Russian speakers, so you can use our resources, and they are in Russian, and we have plenty of different meditation. We have great project, 8 weeks, called Work and Mindfulness Style. It's a pro bono, so you can join anytime. You can do that in your own time. And now what I would like to do it, I would like to send you some links. And the first link is a great video from HBR and David Goleman and Richard Davidson, two fantastic scientists. They, in a fun way, describe what is mindfulness and why mindfulness is important. So really recommend you to spend this 5 minutes to watch it. The second one is TED Talk of Matthew Killingsworth, the guy who discovered that figure, 47%. And he shares his research and his conclusion that the wandering mind is unhappy mind. And there are some more information and links to the Center for Mindfulness and to the Russian content. Well, yes, I guess that's it, and the time flew fast. Let me just quickly check the questions what you placed, and if you have some more, please just type them. So, okay, how often should we try this? Is once a day enough? I guess, Fernanda, I did answer that, right? So one day or formal, one time per day, 10 minutes, it's enough, it's great. Honey, thank you so much, appreciate that comment. Thank you. So guys, if you have any, I just would try to switch on the video just for a few seconds to, yeah, that's working. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me and I would be happy to answer. And usually I answer within 24 or maximum 48 hours. Try to set up that challenge and try to practice mindfulness. And for this, before to say goodbye, I would like to thank you for your attention and thank you for your curiosity and your willingness to try something new and to try the mindfulness practice. And thank you for sharing your experience via the comments. And in that challenging time we are facing, let me say to you that may all of you be safe, may all of you be happy and healthy, and may all of you and your friends, your relatives, your circle be protected as much as possible. Thank you very much, and let's stay in touch. Thank you.